Date 7.8.4. Year 3011. Lesson 33. Retrieving historical records.
The early 21st century marked the end of the fifth age of humankind, and the second age of what was then known as Western civilization. A burdened ecosystem in conjunction with poor resource distribution and an archaic system of hierarchical human categorization based on location of birth, familial connections, and superficial genetic markers had created an unsustainable system that only benefited a small group of ruling dynasties. In the latter years, through the advent of a system called the Internet, the ruling dynasty sowed disorder, confusion, and apathy.
I'm willing, God!
Religious fundamentalism grew. The violence of our primitive past commonplace. People became convinced that fighting for their location, economic ideology, or superficial genetic markers was a necessary step to preserving their perceived culture. While communes had existed for many years, around 2020, many religious congregations went off the grid, a term used to denote the lack of dependence on the power structures in place for energy needs or communication. This was particularly common in the region known as North America, where religious fundamentalism and isolationism was at its peak. During the period, central governments began consolidating power and stripping power from smaller institutions, often called state and city governments, which put nations in precarious situations in the event of major disasters, which came soon enough. In 2028, over a 3-day period, an estimated 3 billion people died from a previously dormant rhinovirus. Picornavirus enterovirus picornavirales. The event was called the Rapture, in reference to a Christian religious belief about the deity Jesus Christ extracting his followers from planet Earth.
Say it, boys and girls, in the name of Jesus. You know exactly what you need to repent of. Name it. Name it out loud.
This did little to quell religious fundamentalism, and new taboos emerged discouraging physical contact and intimacy. With so few people left behind, the infrastructure began to crumble. Governments collapsed, replaced by chaos and warlords. The ruling dynasties had a contingency plan and fled to Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway, where accommodations had been constructed in secret so that they might continue to rule. But their plans had been leaked and they were met by a mob of thousands. Kings and queens, aristocrats and billionaires, CEOs and politicians, the descendants of the ruling houses going as far back as Alexander the Great of Macedonia and to the princes of Egypt met their end on the Arctic archipelago. Their contingency plan became their icy tomb. But the lesson today is not about endings. It is about beginnings.
Do you wish to continue?